Hello, it's your old friend employee Emilian, and this is a face reveal. This is my face. Hope you like it, because I didn't feel like editing together like 100 different or 1,000 different images for this particular video, because I felt like I needed to get my thoughts off my chest pretty quickly about all the SpongeBob news that's coming out. And so, yeah, let's just get right to it.
Let's get right into the news!
First of all, Kamp Koral's been announced as the SpongeBob spin-off. Initially, the concept of SpongeBob and his friends meeting each other at camp as kids in a CGI format was the movie, and the third movie, I think that the third movie is still going to be about that. It's going to be like an all-grown-up situation, which turned into all grown-up. It's going to be like that, where this movie will, like, introduce the themes. If it does well, even if it doesn't do well, next to going to keep making Kamp Koral. There are a couple of fears that I have with this. First of all, that'll be too similar to Camp Lazlo. And the reason I say that is because Lazlo was already a bit of a love it or hate it show, and if Kamp Koral steals some of its jokes, people will notice, and they'll be very mad no matter how they felt about Lazlo. And second of all is just the very commercial, greedy nature of making a spin-off of Stephen Hillenburg's life work after he's died. Like, there are a lot of, like, discussions about this at the moment, but it's starting to reach a fever pitch now that Paul Tibbitt, who was a writer and showrunner on the show for years, has called Nickelodeon executives out for just being a very greedy thing, and they know Steve would have hated it. I'll put the tweet up on screen just in case he deletes it sometime, or just to give you a good idea of his attitude towards this. Now, I honestly do have to side with Tibbitt on the general basis of this. I think that SpongeBob should end at season 12 so that it doesn't completely jump 20 different sharks a week after Hillenburg's done, because Steve likely has had a little bit of influence on season 12 because it was produced during the time he was dying. So I feel like this should be like a last hurrah for SpongeBob in some ways. It doesn't need a third movie without him or most of the team. It doesn't need a spin-off. It doesn't need to run for another 10 seasons. I think that SpongeBob is gonna have to be on its way out soon, and yeah, this is just kind of sad to see it just being further commercialized. But I do have some level of faith in it, because Vincent Waller and Mark Ciccarelli, who have been showrunners for the show since halfway through season 9, are working on it, and they have expressed that they're loving the idea because SpongeBob is such a versatile character. And I agree with them. SpongeBob is one of the most versatile characters in all of fiction, easily one of the most versatile cartoon characters. And I'll reserve judgment for when, like, a trailer drops, because this is just an announcement. I'll reserve judgment for when the movie comes out, when the show itself comes out, and see how it is then. So, that's all well and good. But then, today, this was yesterday, today, THQ Nordic revealed that they were making a remake of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, which is one of the most popular tie-in games of all time, especially of the early to mid-2000s platformer collectathon craze. And I'm very excited. Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, is it looking spectacular on a graphical level? Because it takes a lot of effort to make SpongeBob look good in 3D, and I was willing to give Battle for Bikini Bottom and the movie game and Creature from the Coast Crab and all that a slide back in the mid-2000s, since they were video games. But Sponge Out of Water has set expectations very, very high. And the photos that they've shown off aren't super convincing me, but they do seem to be keeping in the spirit of the original games. I think now is as good a time as any to, like, cash in on, like, early to mid-2000s nostalgia, because the people who were kids back then are in their mid to late 20s now, and I was a baby back then, and I'm turning 18 in September. So yeah, there are a lot of fond memories of that era, especially for tie-in games. Like, a lot of Pixar and DreamWorks games, a lot of Nickelodeon games are very nostalgic for a lot of people, and I feel like this is just the right time to do it. I don't think full-on 2000s nostalgia is going to be as prominent until, like, a few years after this, but it is a very popular time period to go back to, and I'm glad that SpongeBob is capitalizing on the fact that its golden age was in the slap dab middle of that in terms of video games, because some people still refuse to believe that the PS2 and GameCube and Xbox are retro consoles. I personally believe that because their successors are 10 years old, more than 10 years old at this point, but that's a debate for another day. Overall, SpongeBob's future is very, very mixed at the moment because we got this announcement of a very corporate spin-off that even the old writers aren't approving of. And then we got this announcement of a video game which could just be nostalgia cash-in bait, or it could be something made with genuine love that can fix some of the problems with the original game, like Mr. Krabs and Mermaid Man's voices and the kelp forest. If they completely remove the kelp forest, I would not blame them. So those are my thoughts on that. It's a very mixed future, and in a month we're going to get 60-year-old David Hasselhoff back with his robot abs. I hope he has robot abs even though he's in his 60s now. That's just the price you pay when you make the characters live action played by themselves by 50 to 60-year-old actors, even though the SpongeBob musical was already a bit surreal in that regard, but they got younger people to play them. I haven't seen the SpongeBob musical, but I've heard very good things about that. SpongeBob's future is very messy, but it's going to be a very fun, silly kind of messy that I'm going to have fun picking apart as it unfolds. Goodbye for now.